We
Anybody in
going
the building
live.
get it? Oh,
good,
dang
good
God.
evening.
No
I know,
warning or
right?
nothing.
I
I
kept
was
getting
chilling.
the little warning, like, hey, it's time. So good evening, everybody. Welcome to our Friday night sip and chat with Relationship Flow. Hope everybody's doing well. Intros. How you doing, Camp?
I'm doing all right. A long week, but good.
Yeah. What you sipping on?
So I have my special sturdy cup see by.
Ah, okay. Okay. Darrell, Mr. Darrell, how are you?
I am well. Hello, everyone. How's everyone doing this evening?
Everyone is doing great. How are you?
I'm well. I'm well. Very nice to see everyone.
Nice to
What are
see
you
you too.
sipping on this evening?
I had some nice diet green tea.
I want to say that in my head it was regular green tea, not diet, but yeah.
I had diet with 0 calories.
Oh,
Nice.
okay. 0 calories and artificial sugar?
Sugars.
Artificial.
Uh, um, uh, Nothing's perfect. Still zero
Okay.
calories.
Okay,
Zero
you
calories.
can't
Nice.
beat that. You can't beat that. And I am sipping on Daryl
You
Oh,
sipping
you
on
got
light.
Corona Light. Nice.
a light.
Light.
See,
I like.
Corona light.
Yes.
You have your
Listen,
lime or your lemon in it?
Lemon.
Extra
Lemon
lemon?
juice.
Okay.
Lemon juice. Yes. Yes.
Okay, nice, nice.
Yeah. I wasn't so good with the meal. I had pizza tonight, but yeah, I said okay. It's like, you have a big old fast food meal and a diet soda.
The hubby was gonna give me some food, so yeah.
Yeah, I had a couple slices of pizza and my Corona Light. So, all right, guys. Just messed it all up right there.
messed it all up.
What's going on with the current events? What is happening in your corners of the world?
Mm. Let's
I
see.
ain't got nothing.
All I know, a couple of schools in Philadelphia shut down, like the whole schools,
Oh
because
gosh.
of the COVID, the outbreak. So it was like they had a couple of bad outbreaks and they've been closed for a couple of weeks. So they're supposed to come back, but may not. Good evening.
Oh, good
So
evening, Jaja.
it depends. Oh, they just put something out that they got a missing report out on Kelly Price. They said
What?
after she had a
The
COVID
They had a
scare,
singer?
they had a
they
what?
just they just put out a missing report like maybe an hour and a half ago on Kelly Price. They said she's missing. They can't find her after she had a COVID scare in Georgia. They're trying
Oh,
to. Her family put out. She's listed on the missing persons report, so they're trying to find her. Her family.
get out of here.
Ain't
That's
Yeah.
the
nobody gonna look
singer.
for
You
her.
talking about the singer, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Hmm.
Nobody gonna look for her.
Why, Daryl? Why won't they look for
Yeah.
Kelly Price?
Why?
She's not white.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Somebody who mentioned that about the girl that everybody's talking about, and just they found her remains.
Go, go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They found her.
They
Yeah.
they they shut the whole state, the whole country down looking for this girl
But
Mm-hmm.
right
and
after
her
they,
crazy and her crazy boyfriend.
well, they still haven't
Mm-hmm.
found him yet.
But they're looking.
Yeah, they're looking for
Mm-hmm.
him. Yeah, they're definitely.
That's the
But
point.
he,
They're looking.
but he had 4 or 5 days before they actually came to arrest him. He had 4 or 5 days to get away
Well,
before they.
because he wasn't under arrest.
Right.
He
He
was
was just a person of interest at
Right, a
first.
person of
first
interest.
interest.
But
They
they
can
said
go.
he's not a suspect still. They're looking for him because he committed bank fraud, using
Mm-hmm.
somebody else's card for $1,000.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
We don't
do you
care.
really
We
want to
don't
say he
care.
used her
Actually,
card?
we don't care what happened there. There was like 100 black girls go missing a month. You hear nothing about,
No,
right?
correct.
So
Oh,
my focus is on if we have this energy for one, why don't we have it for these others, right?
true.
Mm-hmm.
So
But
I
don't
don't really want
forget,
to
But don't
I'm
forget
not forgetting
the
anything.
black grad student. He was 24, missing from Illinois. They found him.
Barely heard anything about it.
You did? It was
No, I said you
that was the
barely hear
thing.
anything
That was the
about it.
thing, and he was black. They're saying why wasn't something put out? But when they started finally putting something out, then they found
But
him.
they
All of a sudden, a month later.
barely do it. They barely do it. So
That's
black and
true.
brown children and black and brown things are going on. We got the Haitians over here being whipped and things of that nature. Listen, I'm really worried about this little girl who, whatever they was doing out there playing games they was playing. If the police would have locked them up when they should have locked up when she whatever happened to the
Did you
domestic
see
thing.
that?
Yes, you know how nice they
Oh,
were.
y'all watched the video?
We don't want to. We could. We're supposed to, but we can't let this happen to this. Like, look, girl, get a hotel room. Like, it was an hour out there dealing with these people, giving them the benefit of the doubt, doing everything they could to ensure that they were comfortable and they were in a domestic dispute that different people saw. So I don't know exactly what happened. I seen marks on one person. You know, one person scratched up. People saying this. I can only imagine it was me and you out there talking about, I got scratches, you got scratches. It'd have been no talk. We'd been face down going to jail.
Wasn't no talk. They arresting both of y'all.
Yeah, face
Ain't
down
no
going
talk
to
at
jail.
all of any kind.
Y'all work out later.
Yeah.
So to be honest, if the police would have, I believe, if they would intervene right there, somebody would have been in jail. They wouldn't be able to go on and get into whatever they got into, where they ended up doing whatever they did.
Could have saved her life.
That could have saved her life. Or, you know, so at the end of the day, I don't think it's not, again, it's just too much going on to worry about this one case for me, right? It's too much. And you see the mishandling of it. I can imagine a black man coming back and a white woman was missing and them letting him go freely. He'd be waiting to find out what happened from behind bars, right? Or his house was around. It wouldn't be you can leave the house, somehow get out of the house with everybody watching. You feel me? It wouldn't have been that. So this just shows the difference of how things are handled when you have the complexion of Texas. So like I said, I'm not putting I'm not really following that story at all because I know there's too many other stories out there where people who look like me are not getting the same type of media coverage.
But the funny thing is you don't have to follow it because every time you turn on the television, it's being jammed down your throat.
Well, I don't even watch television, so
yeah, that I've cut down my television watching.
I haven't watched television in a long time. So.
I don't really watch television. I don't even have television in my house. Like I just watch.
They'd be like, "Did you see that show?"
Netflix, something like that. So I miss a lot of the stuff. And a lot of stuff I hear is because people may have said something, or I watch a lot of YouTube different things, and I may hear some things. But I usually fast forward it when it gets to that, only because I think the coverage it was equal. We were showing or highlighting different people who were missing like this. I got it. But we have highlighted from the beginning, like we know their whole trip. I know the whole girl like that in this little bit of time. We've learned who she is. She developed a personality. She's trending because she's missing. And now he's trending, he's missing. A lot of money and resources are put to looking for now him. You know, it's just crazy. So I just
Yeah, we know about the disparities for sure.
They're everywhere.
Yeah, for sure.
Don't go missing.
You said don't go missing.
Yeah, that's definitely violence.
It definitely is. Which something could be done if they wanted to, but they don't.
Nope.
I think that they seem to be at their wits' end, or that's how they put it out there. Like, you know, they're trying everything, but nothing is working.
Yeah, but
who seems like they're at their wits' end? Who?
The legislators, I'll say, and the authorities. You know, when you see the police commissioner, you know, she's like,
is over it.
See, what I can't do, what I can't, I can't believe you're over anything because what are you doing, right? If you're not doing anything different, you're doing the same things and expecting different results. That to me is crazy. there's nothing being done in these cities that are different, right? Now, like I said, Camden showed you something different, right? They did something totally different, and crime is really dropped in Camden City, right? But they had to get drastic. They had to fire everybody. Everybody was fired. You understand? And then you had to reapply for your job. And whatever your pay was before, you're starting over. So if you were at 80, 90,000, you maybe start over at 40, 50,000. But the training they got was impeccable. Like they are plucking officers out of Camden left and right, because whatever training they're given, from my understanding, is some top-notch training, right? And you see the difference. It definitely is a difference in how Camden is policed, and the crime in Camden.
It has made a big difference in Camden.
Absolutely. They at one point they were number one. Small Camden was like number one. Murders. It was popping. So there are things that can be done, but they don't want to fix it, right? It makes it, you want to keep it a black eye on that city so that you have something to say. Democratically run cities are always, you have this to say, and then we're killing each other. We really care? No. Right? Because you step outside of whatever that usually whatever city is next to that nice white city, you go into that white city and try that, you get shut down immediately. It doesn't happen. They don't allow it to happen there as readily, right? So they keep it contained in the inner cities. So that's the issue. And I mean, we got to also be smarter, and we got to, the ones that are doing it to each other. But even people act like everybody's killing each other. No, it's a small number of people who are doing it in these areas, right? Most people are good. Most people are trying to kill each other.
Yeah, of course.
But to act like it's the city. No, it's a small population in the city that gets all the media attention. It does need to stop. It's terrible that these young men are killing each other. Things that need to stop. But does need to stop. But we also got to understand that's not the whole city. There are really great parts and all these great people who are also afraid.
Yes, because the way they tell it, it's like if you walk out your door, you might get popped. That's how it's like.
That's how it's portrayed. Yeah.
I just went to get some milk and I got shot at 3 times. No, it doesn't happen that way.
But that's how it looks. That's how it looks. It was the same thing when the virus started. It was like, be scared. The numbers are high. Don't leave your house. It was, of course you want to be cautious and do the things to protect yourself, but they put it out there like they deliberately try to scare you.
Absolutely. They live in fear. And it's very interesting. I know Camp said some schools that closed down, but I know my daughter has been going to school since last year full time. They hadn't stopped. And they had 2-3 cases during the whole school time period. So what I see from there, it can work. And I mean reported cases. That's what it's reported. People might be going, but I mean they were taking at one point, not this year. But there hasn't been that many reported cases. A lot of high schools I know haven't had a lot of cases either. So I don't try to get involved in fear, but I feel like if something happens, then you address that issue. If someone has you
just address it.
Do something. Yeah, and rightfully so. If a school has an outbreak, a staff member you have to do something at that point.
Yes.
Right? You got to shut something down. You guys are doing something wrong. Somebody's not washing hands. There ain't no hand sanitizer on deck. If you do, definitely, I definitely say send people home.
Yeah, it just made me think my son was in school down south for like 9 months to a year, and luckily he was good. Like, and these are young children, 3 and 4 years old. So it was, and he was sending them every day. He was coming back, and he was all right. And I was just like, okay, because they followed the CDC guidelines, like like they were just talking about. So somebody like.
Hi, Facebook user.
Yeah, who's that? They love the curl.
Thank you.
Show yourself.
Reveal your identity.
So.
Oh, that's Ruth.
Oh, okay.
Hey, Neil.
Hey, Neil.
I was just about to say that just like that. Just like how Doc would say.
All right, guys. So we could just move into our topic.
Yes.
Blended families, bonuses and challenges. There's both involved when you start putting two groups together. Look at the Brady Bunch. So, Kip, I know when we talked about bringing this up as a topic, you said you had some personal insights.
Oh yes, very personal insights. One second.
Okay. Hey, Neil. So when we're talking about blended families, we're talking about, how families come together in many different ways, from being married with children and you marry someone else with children from another relationship to, growing up with your grandparents to, having that village around you of aunts and uncles that help raise you. So we're looking at blended families in all kinds of ways. And, what are the good things about it and what things can go wrong?
Well, before we go on, before we get to the expert, let's talk. I don't know if you said it. Blended families in the sense of now we have these polyamorous families that come together.
Well, yes,
you have these type of families that are you have a family and you're adding another male or female to it, which now brings a whole new dynamic to the family, and maybe some explaining that has to go on. And depending on the age of the child, I think that could really affect them, adding another mom or another dad to a situation. And now you have to understand what this new person means to mom and dad, right? So you're adding this blended families are looking, very different these days. When you have these type of dynamics or sister wives or all these type of things that are going on. So we have to open that umbrella of blended to add these and the good and I guess maybe the good and maybe some things that are maybe not so good that may come with these new families that are being presented.
I wondered about that too. I'm glad you brought that up there because I'm wondering, when you have that kind of dynamic, do you even let the kids know, or is this person sneaking in the middle of the night and then leaving first thing in the morning?
No, so if it's a family, so if it's a play thing, that's neat. But you got people who live together now, these polyamorous or relationships or things of that nature, before they may get to the point where they're all married. That's why they're going to be in the house, they're going to be around. They may share a room. I know some share a room. The
throuple. The throuple shares a room.
Yes, they share a bedroom.
Yeah, they share a room. So the kids have to see this, and now I don't know what that conversation would be like. And contingent on the age of the kids, how do you even feel about that, right? Because this is your mom and dad, and now you have somebody else who's taking attention from you, right? You're taking attention from you, and now you also have to. Now these people are maybe rearing you in a sense. They may be also, because any adult around you should tell you right or wrong. If they're doing, hey, don't touch the plug. I'm just gonna let you. If they don't do that, then there's a problem. But we do have these people now that are, another disciplinarian in the home, another person taking attention away from mom and dad, because now this other person's there, right? So I think that conversation, especially the age of the kids, could be tough. Like if I'm 10, 11, 12, 13, that's a tough conversation, and if it's really different from what my norm is when I go to school, it's going to be different. I may not want to bring people over, like, this is weird. But I don't know. Kids may be okay. I'm not sure. But I can see it being an issue unless the girl's really hot and their boy like, yo, son,
you see my new mom.
my new mom, my new mom / girlfriend, But I can see that being something that needs to be talked about.
For sure. And how do you have a conversation like that with your kids? Considering it's something that's like way out of the norm.
Well, from the just certain documentaries just watching, what they would do, you know how your mom get a new boyfriend or a friend, they be like, oh, this is Uncle such and such, this is Uncle such and such. They introduce them as this is our friend. And so the kids are used to this person coming around. If it's somebody that's friend of the family, solely, then they sit them down. Oh, this is our girlfriend or our boyfriend, however the throuple is. But it's hard for kids because they're like, oh, I'm used to mom and dad. And it's okay. It's one thing to be like aunt or uncle such and such, and they're like an aunt and uncle to me. Now you saying I gotta listen to them on like an everyday basis, inside the home, outside the home. It's a power struggle. Especially I would think like Daryl said, the 11, 12, 13-year-olds, because they've known this for so much, and then they have to listen to a third person on an everyday basis, like not just when you over at your aunt's house, or different.
So I see it. I don't see people using aunt, uncle anymore. I from what I see, a lot of people are more open to aunt. And I do see more, like you kind of said, like this is this is our friend, because it is our friend, right? This is our friend. Yeah. Is just going to live here and going to see us hugging and kissing and things like that. And then at a certain point, it may have a say, look, this is our girlfriend. And now this is your new mom or your new dad. I do see a lot of people being more open and honest about it, because they're just out. People are more out and open with what they're doing. They're not really sneaking around, because it's usually more, if it's that point, it's more serious, right? So you're not sneaking around, sneaking up in and out at that point. That's the beginning with anybody. When you have kids, you sneaking out. As it's serious, you'll see the person around, because you usually start doing outings together first. Like you'll go to place together, and you'll notice every time you go, it's mommy, daddy, and your friend. Like they are they your best friend? They are your best friend. They are always here. This is great.
But they do also start involving extended family and letting them know, like the grandparents.
Excuse me?
I said also, when it gets serious, they start telling the rest of the family, like the grandparents and important.
So I haven't seen that. Again, I haven't telling you what I've seen them do is they're there, like you're seeing them all the time, right? You're just like they're around all the time, and then it's usually some talk in the background, because a lot of people don't want to. I'm not coming explaining myself every time I go somewhere, right? So when the person's around, they're coming around. Exactly. So they're coming around, and you see the person. Now everybody behind you is talking like, yo, what is going on? Is why they're again? Like, what is?
What? That's your person.
I didn't. Are they? But she ain't gay. But
you know that would happen when people didn't want to officially come out to their families too. You know,
you always see a friend.
You see that friend. Yes.
Every family gathering.
So it's no different. It hasn't changed. Just now it's your couple, and you bring in your extra. Your plus one is with you all the time. You see the kids are very comfortable with them. Like, what the kids doing? Like, because you don't know what's going on at the house. And a lot of times you make, and usually if you have that one uncle, cousin, whatever, who is bold enough, what's going on here? What's going on? What y'all doing?
The nosy one.
They always know that first.
Then it may come out at that point. But
the one that get drunk at the function and start talking about, every time I see you, I see her.
What's going on?
Yes.
I get me one. But and like I said, with something like that, my thing would be, it's very interesting. I think the earlier you do it with kids, the better. They get used to it. It's normal to them. That conversation with kids has to be Like, I mean, just think about birds. All conversations are tough as it is.
Yes.
Right now, you got to add extra dynamic. Like, well, mommy and daddy have a girlfriend.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
Mm-hmm.
I never seen that on Peppa Pig.
That even raises some questions. Like, is this? I mean, I'm sure people are doing it, but is this even something for your kids to know? Considering it's so out of, and I don't want to keep using the word norm, but it's so different.
Right. I would want them to know sooner.
It's really tough. I mean, the kids are going to have questions, right? Because the person's here, and the how much you guys are having PDA in front of the kids is also going to be the key. Now, if you guys can keep it where you're not around the kids, where you're not doing anything, you're not holding hands, then okay, maybe you don't have to really have too much of a conversation. It's just a friend who lives with us, whatever the case may be. As they get older, they probably know different things. But you're doing things where you got holding hands, sitting on each other's lap. You're showing affection that you would only show to your partner.
Right.
Then I think it's your job to explain what's going on, because they're going to be really confused, and their ideologies are going to be all over the place of what relationships look like, just because it's shown something here, like you said, and this is different than what we see. So we need to say what's going on. So they go to school and start saying things, and kids are like, "You're crazy. What do you mean? You got a mom, and a mom? Like, that's weird. They don't." They don't.
Yeah, and then what happens when you break up with the third person, and then you want a new third person?
I mean, that's no different. That's no different than any other time you break up.
I feel that
same thing.
If you a childless throuple, I can feel that, but like with the
all aren't forever, so they're going to break up.
Right.
So you're going to, but again, at least the kid already knows, what it is, and he made you feel different by not having a throuple at that point. Like, it was boring. It's you and dad home all the time. Like, the throuple, whoever the throuple was a fun person. They were the fun one. They played with us when you couldn't. They didn't. You the extra person going to try harder.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to try harder. They're not really part of the family, but they're part of the family. You understand?
Right.
Always going to be
always unofficially.
You're an outsider. You feel me? At the end of the day, I think husband and wife 90% of the times are going to stick together because they're doing it together anyway. You're always going to be the outsider. You're always going to be cut. The fat that's cut when something has to go first, it's going to be you. I believe. I don't know what I'm saying. I know that something that's not really yours.
I mean, every now and then, the third person hooks up or bonds with one of the partners more, and then that other partner gets pushed out.
Well, before they get pushed out, they push your ass out.
You would hope so.
I see what you're doing. It ain't gonna work. You got to go. You come home, your bag is packed. But see, that's the problem, because I don't know enough about roles really to
Yes.
Yeah.
But even being smarter, right? So, but they're smarter still we'll say in some aspects. Some things are so different again, thruples, we don't know what thruples are, right? So it's very different. It's very different when it's something that's very different and we don't even know what it is, right? So kids are smart, but that still is going to be, it's tough for me to wrap my mind around because I don't know enough about it. I don't know people and what it takes to add another person and how do you mix, add that mix together. So even as smart as kids are, that's confusing.
Defining that is different for each family and how it looks.
Where your loyalties lie and all these type of things, it becomes very tough. Because it's tough for trust and believe, it's tough for a throuple or quadruples or whatever it is, because you have to know how much attention to pay to each other as well. Because you can't pay too much attention to one and leave the other one out. Because now you got somebody feeling like they're not part of anything, right? So that is a tough situation with attention and to begin with.
It's a hard balance.
Yes. And what if
very difficult balance.
The person you bring in has kids?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
A lot of those situations, it's like a blend of how you raise your kids and how they get along with the kids that you're being a throuple of. It's just a lot of nuances.
Well, even before the blending with your kids, how is the parenting of all these kids? Because maybe if your ideal of parenting is different, then how it's going to go. And can you separate, the husband and wife? We have our children here. These are both our children. We have your child here as half of your child. We're going to give them the respect as your children, right? Because my children will come first, right? I don't know if they say.
We know your stance on that, Derek.
Yeah, I don't know if it's going to be
their kids.
You know what I mean? I don't know. Like, hey, listen, we spent all the money on our children. We ran out, so your kids can't get anything. So we're sorry. So
the families can be hard.
It's a lot of things, and again, I don't know anything about the lifestyle, so I'm just being, about to leave because it's definitely, I don't know. I don't know about it.
But that's still an important point. Like, even if you Daryl, get into a relationship with somebody with kids, and then trying to blend the family together, and you talk about, look, I spent all the money on my daughter.
What you got for yours?
Right.
They're gonna be looking at
you understand?
Hey,
I got mine. What you got on yours?
You'll be like, what? I thought we was in this together.
Yeah.
And I think the other thing about that type of relationship, that blended family, where does when we start talking about legally, what does this person have? Right, their name. Usually, the two that are maybe married or together, they have maybe the house together, have the cars together. Everything's in their name. Everything's for them. What does the other person coming in have ownership to? Because they're just being added. So if something happens, they're left with nothing. Right, unless. So I mean, you should. I mean, once you're in a couple, right. Sometimes you let we're good. We had this house, and you think about it. You're probably kicking in with the house too. So we have this great big house. I'm kicking it on as well. I don't agree on what you're doing, but you have ownership to nothing. Right? Your name is not on anything. And if it's a couple, and if they are married, then the wife definitely benefits, but you don't benefit, right? Because I don't think you can marry a third person legally. So legally, you have ownership. So so I think you need to go in and maybe, I don't know how you could do it, and
cohabitation agreement.
Something you have to cover yourself, because if you don't, that's a problem. Relationship may be great. It's great, but something happens. Like I said, say you guys do break up after 8 years, and you put all this in there, and they're talking about splitting the house up and getting 50-50 of the house. And you're
what about me?
What?
Right.
Yeah. What about you? Right. So now you're stuck with nothing after all this time that you put this blood, sweat, and energy into this family. That's all apart, and you may be owed something, but get nothing.
Right. And the same thing happens in single relationships, where the other person might still be married, but they've been living together for 20 years,
and you get nothing,
and they get nothing. And matter of fact, that the other spouse might come and put them out the house
and take everything
on top of it, and take everything.
Absolutely. Yes. So I guess the thruples, some of the issues with thruples is that you might need to get your paperwork right. After you guys have fun on whatever you're doing, the three of you guys are doing that is so fun. But now you need to think about longevity and what's going to look like if this doesn't work. What I have ownership to, you don't want to wait 8 years and not have your own house, and now you're going back to your mom's house, hopefully, or whatever, living in somebody's basement because the throuple didn't work out.
I wonder if they would even be looked at legally in court, because I wonder if a judge would be like, "What throuple? Get out of here."
Yeah.
That's what I mean. The marriage is only between two people. That's the contract. The contract says us. So you can add what you want to it, but that's still outside the contract. You don't.
Right.
You don't just because you got.
Go ahead.
Just because you gave them good head, don't mean you got. Are able to get anything from them. You know what I mean? You're basically just there for the time, and you have to own nothing or owed anything, excuse me.
Which is why you got to get everything while you're in it.
Yeah, the only thing I think of that can hold up maybe in court, like, if you was on the will, or you had life insurance on that person, or you had a cohabitation agreement.
Right.
Or if it's, notarized and signed and filed, you have a lawyer, all that good stuff. But outside of that, yeah.
You get nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, you really put yourself at risk.
I mean, you do that. Even if you have your own stuff, because you're contributing to somebody else's stuff and not your own at that point. To this family, to this household, because you're joining a new household. They're looking at you, your throuple, to hold your weight. So then your stuff may go to the wayside because you're putting it all into this household that you joined.
No, your stuff is going to the wayside. You are donating your time, efforts, and energy in something. Right? You are donating.
That's not your own.
You're doing.
And your money.
Yeah.
You're just donating. Here you go. Just donating away. And it may not pay off. That honeymoon and everything's feeling good and everything's going great. And again, you lull yourself to sleep like, this is great. This is forever. Baby, we love each other. Throuple life.
Throuple life.
When things go wrong, it's tough. It's tough because a lot of times, depending on how long the other two were together, but when you come in, they may have a strong bond and you may never really break that bond. So when there's issues, you may be the fall guy. So they may take it out on you, right? And
you
then
may be playing a middleman in between. Ping pong.
Yeah, that too. Yeah.
Manipulation.
Your kid could be the one that, look, I can hang your badass kid, and look, both of y'all got to go. Y'all got to go. You and man got to go.
Man, I can't.
He's bringing my child down. So it's definitely a lot to think about, but we don't think about it because we just, we like the good and we're fine in the beginning and we like the extra person and the help and it's great and it's good and we go out and always have a babysitter
and do a in-house babysitter.
Issues. Until what?
I said in-house babysitter.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
And until until things happen, and then we see what it's going to look like. And I think the same thing maybe for sister wives. I don't know if that's a little different. If there's a different contract because they're sister wives, I don't know, contractual. Do you put something in for this person to be your wife, or is there something like we're just saying this is my wife? We're not having another wife. Something that
only one.
So say again.
It's only one legal wife.
Legal wife on paper, and everything else.
So that's not really true either. Because again, depending on what the contract say, you say, look, this person is sharing in whatever we're doing, and da 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 da. So I don't know what it looks like. I don't know how it even works. I don't know if any of the wives are legal because it could be just a thing like we're married under God, and that's what it is. I don't know if it's contractual at all in either. So I don't know.
Or if it holds up in a court of law.
Absolutely. They could say, remember, you can go get married anywhere. I can say right now, I go outside in my street like somebody, hey, we're married. And you can say we're married. I can promote that we're married and I can act as such. But I don't know what is on paper, right? And so the same thing with that, I would wonder, how does it work? And this is what people need to think about. How does it work and what happens if it doesn't pan out? Because it's definitely tough for if regular marriage is at over, I think like 51% divorce rate. That's regular marriage.
You said
when you add those numbers up to 3 or 4 people in one marriage, it definitely look like disaster. So you need to go into it understanding what is the and you shouldn't normally do this, but I would go and say, look, what would happen if this doesn't work out?
I think that was the premise of the prenup.
Correct.
Because when it's in the beginning, it's good. It's all good. Everything is all good. But
they have a prenup and a postnup, I think.
But when it's bad, it can be very bad.
The prenup came about with these old men's money, and that's these young girls. And they're like, when you leave, you gonna leave the drawers you came in on. That's it.
Yes.
That's how the prenup came. It had nothing to do with us. They were like, look, we're gonna protect our nest egg. You leave. Like prenups really are saying, guess what? You're gonna stay if you want this money. Because if you dumb enough to leave, you're not going to get anything. So sign the prenup to say you can be here forever. And I know I'm terrible. I'm so bad, but you need to put it. If you can't put up with it and leave, then you leave with nothing.
Well, if you're married 5 years, you get this much. Married 10 years, higher.
That's a nice prenup. Most prenups, no, you get the draws you give in with. I'm not giving you no bonuses per year.
Don't forget they put in there no spousal support.
Yes.
That's
Listen, we make sure you leave with nothing. It's really a trick. We don't want you anyway. We're gonna marry you, rid of you.
And I think a lot of people sign it because at the beginning, we're in love.
It's the pressure.
We're in love. I don't want you for your money.
I think Joy's right. I think it's the pressure because why would I sign that in the beginning?
Yeah.
I'm not signing that. I'm like, what are we even talking about? Like, we're talking about breaking up already?
Because you're in love and you want to get married to that person.
Yeah.
So
that would break me out of love. Like, baby, I love you so much. Hey, I love you too. Can you sign this prenup? What?
But then,
but the opposite happens because the person will say, I'm going to sign this to prove to you that I don't want you for your money.
Right. And I love you.
I love you.
They're dumb.
Right. But they have posted up.
I ain't signing shit to show you that I love you. If I sign this, I don't love you because our love should have no parameters.
Okay. Fine by money. That's what you're saying?
What'd you say?
That's Daryl's speech. Say that again, kid.
I said, is he saying it shouldn't be
fine by money?
Fine by money or resources.
That's Daryl's speech for his sugar mama.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Hey, listen, it's ours now. It's all of ours.
They have postnups when they're married.
All of it's ours. Ain't no post, pre, ain't nothing. Look. If you leave me with some money.
Oh, you want your dollars, girl. Okay.
Half.
Half. Yeah, he said he wanted
half. We do it together. It's art.
If you say so.
But a lot, some of the problems that we talked about with a throuple are the same problems that happen with any kind of coming together of families.
Correct.
Well, again, it's a little different because if it's at least with a blended family, you only have the two parents to worry about. But extra parent is really different. You gotta bring a whole new type of energy with that, to explain that and talk about that. And I think it's figuring out that you have to do as well, because a lot of times we get into these things with different ideologies of what they are. I don't know, like a throuple, like what are you getting into? What are you getting into it for? This fantasy type life, or you getting into it for a extra, person to have around? Like, what are you getting in it for first? That would be.
That's a good question.
You have to explain it to yourself, before you even get into it for the kids, and then and I know kind of stuff, but like even if it was a throuple or anything like this, this is why: are you really okay with adding this person to your relationship, or is it kind of like a prenup, the pressure? You say yes, but you're really not fully on board with it, right? You're really like, my partner is pushing for this. I want them to be happy. I am going to try to do this.
I remember reading.
I am going to try to do this.
I remember reading some of Ruby Dee's memoirs, and she said that they were in a polyamorous kind of
relationship,
but she didn't want it, and it was what Ozzy wanted, and she just kind of went along with it for a while. So yeah, you're right, Daryl. Sometimes there's that pressure from the partner, like, "Hey, this is what I want." So you gonna do it.
Somebody. So how does it work? Does someone, you have a conversation first? Does somebody come home with somebody? Like, there's many different ways it can work, but it doesn't. Whoever brings the conversation up, the other person most likely wasn't thinking about it until you brought it up. Which means,
but you don't really know how it works till you in it.
This is whatever the other person's motives is. Because usually one person will be like, "Yo, they want it for whatever reason they want it, right?"
Yeah, I understand that.
They're gonna bring up their partner, like, "Yo, look, I think it'd be dope if we had another John, because you know how you don't like cleaning? They can clean, right?"
Call the maid.
And you have to sell this other person, but I guarantee it's going to be tough, because especially, like, I know for me, I might be like, "Oh, you know what? How that sounds like, that's dope." But then when it comes to like sex or stuff like that, I wouldn't be on board with someone else touching my partner. Like, "Hey, what you mean? Like, I didn't know we was doing that. I thought they were just here to clean." Right?
Well, you told me they were gonna be cleaning.
Yeah, cleaning out no pipes. Like, what is going on? So it would be so I see it to be a tough sell to your partner, and then you got to sell that to your kids, and then your friends and family. And it's with anything, it's the same thing, but it's like, what's the chances that it will work? Because it's got to be, unless you come from that type of lifestyle, it's new to you, right? Unless you've seen it, it's new to you. So it's going to be things in that pop up that you may like or don't like, or dealing with arguments because of whatever the case may be, and can that last? And for some people it can, but I think it's just, relationships are tough enough as they are with two people, right? 2 people, 1 child is difficult. 2 people and 2 child. Every time you add anybody else, it becomes more difficult.
That's right.
Now you're adding a whole nother grown person with their attitude, with their mood swings, with their likes, their wants. That's got to be tough.
Even their values, because we know we don't talk about that enough before we get into a relationship.
Right.
We don't find out about those till later down the line.
Even the way they may eat. Say if you guys are vegans and they eat meat, in the beginning it's cool, but after a while, like, I'm tired of you, putting the beef in this pot that's supposed to be for my vegetables. I'm tasting the beef, So even if something as small as that could be a big blow up, because you added another person who has another whole identity that you're used to. It's tough to get used to a woman in your house, right? It's tough. First, for you have a single man in your house, whatever they're dealing with. Now you have another grown person. That's tough. And I know if I want it, like, you can come, but you'd have to leave. Just having another whole person in your home is tough. Like, sometimes it's great when you have, or your partner's at work, your wife's at work, and you get to home and I can play PlayStation, I can sit down. But this person's home now. Now you don't get that peace anymore. So I think I'm in a lot of negatives. A lot more negatives than positives. If you're a throuple and you got some positives, please tell me, because I don't see anything positive about it. Okay.
Even all the sex that people think they're gonna get could be a negative.
I don't think it's a negative.
You know what?
Can't agree with you
because
there.
now you gotta perform all the time.
Hey,
it's again, not once or twice a week.
I don't see the problem, Doc. Once or twice a week is a problem. Women think once or twice a week is okay, there's a problem. That's the next show. Why is once or twice a week even okay? Not okay ever. If you're doing it once or twice a week, he needs to add a throuple. That's why you have a throuple, because you're doing it once or twice a week.
That was an example there.
But talking about breaking relationships up.
if you're the guy and you brought in another woman, seriously, I mean, can you perform twice a day?
Well, and I wish Mary was here because this is Mary.
Just rotate.
It's not always penetration. There's other forms of intimacy. It's not always insertion.
Just rotate.
Mary.
Take out a calendar and pick a day.
It could be different things you're doing, you know what I mean? So it could work out very, you don't have to be the same thing all the time. I mean, depending on what they want and their twist, it could be just, I don't know.
How many of them stay together? Yeah.
Well, again, the thing about regular relationships, I think it would be expedited. So regular relationships are, breaking up at say, at a quick rate. They're going to be quicker because of the extra person.
That's what you said earlier.
I'm going higher than that. Higher than that.
So what, they're like 75, 80%?
Yeah, that was about to say 75%.
Well, you know what it is? I think that, so for me, I think, and this is surely speculation, hypothesis, that usually what happens is it just runs its course, right? You've been there for a couple of years, and it's just like, now, regular, you're just here, right?
So the novelty has worn off?
Well, I think that people grow. So I think that that person may want more, right? Somebody's going to want more. And that person who's coming in, like I said, you're always kind of an outsider. I don't care what you do, especially if they're married, right? If they were together 5 years before you and you just got in, you're always kind of on the outside, and you may always feel like you want something else, right? Say you get into one where they don't want kids, but you want kids, right? And he's not. So now, what are you going to do? Or you want to be married, but you can't be if they already are, right? If you want to have a big wedding, and they may like, well, we're already married. We're not doing it again. We can do and that's not what you want, right? So some of those things that you may have wanted as you grew up may not be available in this type of relationship, which means you have to now like sacrifice or keep moving. And I think that's what they're going.
Or you want it 3 times a week and they told you only get it once.
Or sometimes you want the wife and not the husband.
And so that could be it.
Yeah, sometimes you don't want both.
Maybe because it may not be because again, I think people are brought into a situation. So say if I met a girl and I'm like, yo, I want to bring you home. Well, she may be to me, and I'm gonna deal with your wife, right? Because
but she ain't into your wife.
In our situation, but she's still more into me, or vice versa. Whoever or maybe she might grow like your wife is dope. We don't even need you,
right?
They may get attached to the wife, like you, like the sister I never had that I could eat out. Like, it might say that
had some benefits, I guess. The sister you never had. I've wanted all my life. Why not?
So I think that it's naturally that you would. People just bond to each other differently. I don't think anyone's going to I like you both the same. No, I think somebody's going to like somebody more than the other.
And I
think jealousy is going to come in because you notice
always.
Hey, what was y'all laughing about? I wasn't in on that joke. How come y'all got secret jokes that I don't know about? And then I think it starts spiraling out of control. So I definitely would, like Ruth, I would like to know more about the longevity of these type of relationships, because
long-term throughputs. Okay.
Yeah, I would definitely like to see how, because it's new. It's really new to a lot of people to invest in it. So it's something new. You're trying to, and you're like any relationship for the most part. But most relationships you've had, high school, so you had time to kind of go through different things. At a throuple, this is like your first. Usually, say your first time, you're going through it live. You're going through it right now as you're in it, trying to figure it out. And trying to figure your relationship out to your husband and your family. It's another thing that's very distracting that could pull things away, right? It could definitely pull things away.
Yes. So what's your experience, Camp, as far as blended families?
You had a couple?
No, never.
No, we talking about regular blended families.
Regular blended families. I had a different I love coming from a blended family. Do I want one? No.
Okay.
Not like for myself. It's nothing wrong with a blended family. But I guess in my situation, so long story short, my mom is identical twin, right? So
is mine.
I had a
get out.
I had a, you know,
How
I had
cool
a,
is that?
of course I had a biological mother, biological father, but my aunt, for most part of my life was in my household as well. So it was just like, if my aunt said no, I couldn't do it. Even if my mom said yes. My aunt was like my second dad. The way she functioned in my household.
Okay.
Also had a stepdad. Also had other step parents, step grandparents. I call myself a community baby. I was raised by everybody. Great uncles, best friends.
Wait, I'm sorry. What are we blended families? What are we talking about here now? We're talking about
just a difference of just the how it looks. I think blended families can be successful, but there are many challenges. What I will say, I have different perspectives of how, basically of how I saw my future family as growing up. Be like, oh, maybe I want to be married. Maybe I want to have kids. Maybe I just want to be single. It just made me think about a lot of things. If this is what I wanted for my life in the future, being a young adult and getting older, basically. But it was tough. But you do learn how to deal with, you still have like the jealousy. You still learn how to deal with conflict every day. You still have to navigate different transitions, like who house you're going to be over this weekend, who's dropping you off, who's picking you up as a child. It's just a lot to be in. So, yeah, it was tough. But overall, definitely made me who I am. So
they did a good job.
I would say so. I hope so. And then just the thing about my cousins, we were raised together in the same household. So my cousins are like siblings. I don't call them my cousins. They're my. We were all raised together. So did everything together. Went to the same schools. Even though they had their dad and grandparents, their grandparents were like my grandparents. We all went together and different. So just imagine trying to explain my family tree. My kids get it, but when people first meet me and we become friends, and they're like, "Well, who is that?" Or who is? It gets confusing. But just we're all family by love, so that's what's important. So yeah.
Yes. What's wrong there?
No, he has a special look.
I know.
No, I'm just looking at his special look he has on. I'm sorry. That was funny.
I don't know. I don't know.
No, I was raised in a blended family, but we didn't all live in the same. So, well, I guess would you consider it a blended family if you don't all live together? Okay. So
what do you mean?
I was raised with a cousin who we lived in the same household a lot of the times throughout our lives because our mothers are siblings. So that was one way that we had a blended family. And then my dad married my stepmom when I was about 6. So I spent most of my weekends with them.
Okay.
So, and she had 2 kids. My stepmom had two kids. So it was me and my step siblings. So it was blended that way, Yeah. And my stepmom was like kind of like a mom. She was like a mom. Yeah, she's like a mom. Yeah. So I'm looking at the different ways that the blends can happen. Especially in Black families. Because you might be raising a cousin's kid, or you be like, wait a minute, I know this person is related because they look like us, but whose child is that?
Right.
They did a lot of that, back in the day, raising each other's kids and stuff.
I think a multi-generational households as well. It's blended.
Yes.
Even today.
Yes.
You raised
we lived with our grandmother plenty of times as well.
I think we need to define blended, right? Because
blended.
Regular family.
We did.
We did.
We talked about. Yeah, we talked about blended in all ways that it either step parents. You brought up the throuple, but we talked about multi-generational.
Yeah. But but I mean, I think that multi-generational in the same house. I don't know if that's blended. That's just your family. I thought blended was something in that's different. So I thought like, the throuples or step parents or blending that way.
So bringing in someone that's not blood.
Yeah, and now that's how I perceived it to be. I mean, we all had cousins and things that we lived with, especially back, when I was younger. We all, grandma watched everybody, right? So everybody, all cousins were there. That's how we got to know each other so well. I think things are a lot, from what I see, not the same, because I don't see us like having that anymore, where you have kids staying at one person's house so much, But like, so you had a lot of people living in the house. I know all my uncles and aunts lived with my grandma's house. There was like whole slew of people in the house. It was everybody. Everybody. I got a house so small. I don't know how we all fit. Like, that's like 19 people in here. How we fit? Realize, but they all were in there. Because people stayed home longer. Because like, I don't know why it's different. But I don't necessarily think that's blended.
Okay, I see.
Family, that's your family. What you do, your cousins come up, you go down, stay with your grandma for the summer in Virginia, run around. Everybody Sunday send you down there. You come back up. That to me isn't really blended.
Okay.
Would be adding something else. If I stepmom, stepdad, boyfriend, girlfriend, stuff that's coming in, that's different. That now you trying to make fit. Like our family fit, whether right or wrong, going fit. With something on the outside.
I see what you're saying.
I mean,
coming from that aspect, I can see. Well, I know just from personal experience, I know that there's a lot of challenges as a kid.
Correct.
Going into a situation like that, because there were very different rules between my house and my dad's house.
Definitely.
My dad's house, we could run around like wild banshees, but at home. It was, you got to go home. I had to go home and act like act different. So it can be challenging for us, a little kid trying to navigate, how to behave in each environment.
I would say the navigation was difficult at the least.
I remember meeting my stepdad, and then when it got to the point where she was like, well, you can call him dad. I was like, huh? What you mean? What? Damn, man. I call them that.
That's hard.
And to dust down this person being in your life and parenting you was difficult, and it was difficult for him too, because I remember she would always want him to be the man and chastise us when we did something wrong. And this man didn't have the heart to beat us. Like, he would go in the room, take the belt, hit his hand, hey, lay down, he wouldn't touch us. That just wasn't him for whatever reason. I don't know. I'm not sure why. He just didn't do that. But he acted away for her. You feel me? Smack, so that was also, but again, you learn a lot like that. But it was adjusting. You adjust to new life. It was just me, my mom, my brother. Then you have this other person here now. Who, mom is like, what are you doing? Why are you touching that man? Yeah, my mama. So it's some jealousy from us because now somebody's, taking attention away. And
from y'all,
the fun we used to have together.
Somebody else getting a big piece of chicken,
right? And you got your hands going in the chicken at the same time. Like, no, that's my piece. Take your hands off.
Excuse me. She gave you the wrong piece.
Yeah.
But and then and just learning to you had to respect this person on a whole different level. But now you supposed to be like dad. This is the person supposed to be. Now they're married. Like, what we gotta do this. Like, you going around like for me, it was my job not to call him dad or anything. I didn't call him anything. Hey, we got any food? Can we? I would never say a name.
I was like that too.
Mom wants you.
I was like that I got older.
Really?
No, my stepmom's been in my life since I was 3. But one day I was a teenager. I walked up to her, I said, I have a question. I said, what should I call you? Because I respect you, love you, but I don't know what to call you. And it's been a long time.
What you call it? Wait, you said she was in your life since you were 3, so you didn't call her nothing from 3 to 10
I
years?
mean, I would be like, excuse me, what are you cooking for dinner? Like, so me and my dad never had a conversation.
At 3, you didn't call her anything. You didn't call her anything.
I met her at 3, but they were already married. They had got already married before I met her. So when I met her, I understood. I understood that she was my stepmother because I had a stepfather too. So growing up, I just understood I had 2 moms and 2 dads. That's how I looked at it. But I call my stepdad dad, but my stepmom, the relationship was a little different. But I loved her. She had to take care of me. But she was like, call me what you want to call me. I was like, can I just call you mama? And so it's been like that ever since. So
that's kind of how it was with my stepmom. I always called her by her name though. I never called her mom.
Okay.
But I always felt like, felt really close to her. But she was, when I first met her, she's like, you could call me by my name. And I never stopped calling her by her name. Just never would transfer it over to mom, but the love was there like a mom.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Most definitely.
Yeah. 16%.
Yeah, it's tough. Yeah, wow.
1,300 new step families are formed each day.
We see a lot of them coming together, but how long do they last? That's my question. Or do they have statistics on the
how long
longevity
the longevity of the second marriage or the families blended?
Average time of a relationship, it's like 5.7 years. What is it?
Well, if the first marriage ended, usually the second
marriage will end. No, they normally say that.
Well, I think because you learn to leave. You learn it's okay to leave.
Okay.
Once you do something, you see.
I can do it again. I already did it one time.
I did it. I do it again. Absolutely. Once you do it once,
I know I don't have to take your stuff. I'm out of here.
And then you see what happens from what you do. It's not that bad. See that you cover. So a lot of the things I think we stay in sometimes is like, oh, now I'm like going through this and we're gonna have to do this and get rid of this. We might as well stay. But once you do it and go through it, you see it ain't that bad. Like, I can leave you.
I can do it again.
I left him and I loved him. Okay, I can leave you.
So if I love you, I can leave you too. That's what you're saying.
No, I don't love you like I loved him. Okay. I left him and I loved him. Okay.
But then it gets. I guess you could do it again, but then sometimes more kids are involved because you have kids. You might have kids.
It don't matter. Once you do it, you let them kids.
It's easier to do it again.
You're gonna leave them kids again. Ain't the first time you left kids. Kids be all right. I see it happen.
Oh, they say kids are very resilient.
Very resilient.
They'll bounce back.
Listen, hey, they'll be all right. We get them therapy.
Well,
and now I'm gonna go. They don't have new brothers to worry about now. A new relationship.
Yeah. There are some serial blenders out there.
Woo! Yes, there are.
Well, again, I think I don't think serial blender. I think they're just used to. They don't mind doing it. Once you leave, you don't want to be alone, so you're going to get into something else. But what I was about to say is that the issue would be if they are having children, and I know a lot of people have children to make their new relationship something. Like, we need to produce something in this relationship. Let's have a kid. This kid.
Let's feel like a real family.
Well, just to make us real, right?
Right. Just be like, we don't have children together, so let's have a child together.
Yeah, we create this
really
together, right? So 2 things happen here. You got your kids already. Now you bring this other kid in. So jealousy and things that come into the young kid. You're starting over again. And if that relationship doesn't work, then you have this another young kid. You get into a new relationship, and if you want to do this again, because this person wants a baby, but they have another kid. So you end up a lot of kids by a lot of different people. Even the canon status.
The other part of that is, when you leave these blended relationships and you take your kid, what about the other kid you left behind that belonged to your partner?
Ain't my kid?
Did you just say it ain't my kid?
But it just leaves a lot of.
Tell man bye. Tell man bye.
You like tell man bye, ready to go. This is it.
And the issue with that is sometimes it's very difficult to keep that relationship, because once you get into a new relationship may not understand respect, and you can't really be going over, because that's not even your kid. You don't. They might understand.
Right, it's not your blood, but you was married to the other parent for 10 years. It's not your blood, but
you took care of the child.
So you going back to him too? He ain't your blood, right? So, like, I understand that you should keep that bond, but I think it's difficult. Even for you to move on, for you to keep going back, it's tough.
Could you sometimes
depending what that situation was, whatever reason you left, it might be very difficult for you to go back into that situation, right? It may be very difficult, especially if it was something that, and I can't really think of a reason, but maybe a reason that it had happened, but you still love each other, but whatever reason it couldn't, I don't know what it was, but you seeing that person could definitely still put you in that mood, like have your heart all, and then you upstairs, you come in, hey man, how you doing? Hey, I'm gonna go upstairs for a little bit. Take care. Knock mom off, and then come downstairs. Hey man, hey, nice seeing you. And you leave, now you're not even coming to see.
He ain't even coming to see me. Well, I think about it because I can't imagine. I couldn't have imagined as a teenager if my dad and my stepmom broke up and I wasn't able to see her.
Yeah.
That would.
And it happens a lot. I'm telling you, it happens a lot where you are dealing with. That's why it's tough for me to deal with people with children, to say if you do get attached, it doesn't work. And now, first of all, I hate the feeling of leaving a child feeling like that. They might not understand what's going on. And then it's another person walking out of their life and like, dang, what if the next person did? And then now they're just used to people leaving, right? So I would not want to do that to someone. It's really difficult, especially when I was younger, to date people with children for that reason. Because I knew I wasn't here to stay. I wasn't here to play. So I was like, I can't really. I don't want to.
How responsible of you.
I don't want you to have these bad habits like I do, because I'm not here to stay. I'm here to play.
I think it causes a lot.
60 to 70%.
That makes sense, because we're at 50 and we'll say heterosexual relationship. So that makes definitely sense, because you're adding extra people, extra problems. More people, more problems.
So I said
more people, more problems.
Yes.
There it is.
It can't be. I know, like my mom and my stepfather was together for a long time, but they broke up and they got divorced and he got remarried. But on his side, he's been taking care of me since I was a year, and he was just like, it's all or nothing. They all my kids.
Okay.
My brother's father. So he still took care of me. I still went over there on weekends. But it wasn't hard for him, and eventually his new wife. They've been married over 25 years now. It was hard for my mom, because it was just like, well, you're my child. Well, I'm only a child. You introduced these people in my life. He's been my father since I was since I was a year, along with so I grew with two dads. So but we finally sat down as a blended family, and they came together. My brother stepmom, my stepdad, and my mom came together and finally put a plan in place that I would still go over every other weekend. And her family accepted me. That doesn't happen like that. Most times.
I was about to say, it's very grown that they were able to do that, and I was thinking, I wonder, and this is it easier for a man to say, look, I'm going to keep these children around. They're going to be around, and you can accept it. And for a woman to tell her man, look, I'm gonna go visit these kids and you're gonna come around and accept it. I can see me saying it to a woman, like, yeah, that's what I'm doing. You gonna accept it, woman? This is what it is. But I can't see my I can't see my woman saying, look, well, these kids I knew them forever. I'm like, hey, well, you know, they need to learn absence. Don't find her, you know.
And it's crazy because like she's like a third mom to me, and she's just a mother figure in my life. So so when I tell people, it's a community, but she treated me like her own. Again, this is my brother's stepmom. Treated me like her own. But I think what the issue came in, not with the adults, it kind of changed me and my brother's relationship growing up as siblings, because it was just like you have a dad.
You went somewhere he didn't.
Well, sometimes my brother felt a certain way at one time. He was like a preteen, and he was just like, you can go, I'm not going over because you're going over. He was like, well, you have a dad, and this is my dad. And then my sister has a different dad too. So I still have step siblings half, but we're all one. We just always just like, that's my brother, that's my sister. Ain't no half step. That's how we were raised. So I think after a while, it wasn't like an overnight thing. But I think after about 4 or 5 years, we kind of came into the adults and the children, like a process of how things worked. But the adults at times are bitter on all sides. Because like, this is my child. But then it's like, well, I've been taking care of her for forever. I still want to have some type of say so. But then my brother's stepmom is like, well, when she's in my household, I have my own rules, and I'm not going to treat her any different. But this one goes over here. So you have to accept these rules over here. Not me per se. I had no issues in terms of accepting the rules. It was easy breezy in terms of that. But yeah, it just didn't happen overnight. So, and still to today, just rectifying keeping those relationships going, and just keep learning each other over again when it comes to that piece.
And you made an important point, because the kids be like, look, you put these people into my life.
Yeah, that's how I was thinking.
You trying to tell them to get out after I done formed bonds with them.
Absolutely. When you start using the kids, you know, well, now you ain't seen the kid no more. He ain't yours anyway. But I've been here 7 years, and you've been acting like he was mine. Now you acting this is doing. You're hurting me, but you're really hurting the child more.
Correct.
Because you could be losing a connection, a real connection that they built. You know, some next person might not be there 7 years, right? Or the next person might be whatever. So whatever we have is what we have, and if it's positive, just because we didn't work out, we should try to work something out in the best interest of the child. You know?
Yes, the next person could be Daryl talking about, look, my daughter come first. I don't care what you got going on over here.
Hey, your kid got to eat every day.
Her. I don't know about your child. What you doing for your child?
Your kid got to eat every day. Every day.
Yes, they do.
You just ate yesterday. Why are you so gluttonous? He just ate yesterday.
He needs a new meal.
Here. You have.
Are you there?
Nigga. All right. Any last final insights about this topic? Daryl.
Oh, that's funny. Oh, they got me ticklish in the heart.
Trying to told you.
Well, you said, okay, it's not for you, you're saying.
I blame with their mom.
But not with
their dad.
You said you blame with their mom if they stay with their dad.
You know, the kid got to stay with their dad, yeah.
Okay.
but in some ways, again, it's not cool, because it's cool to have, especially the kids around the same age, they can play together and things of the nature. Because you know, like my daughter, I still am like the kids, so I love when another kid come over. Like, you getting older, I love it. You think they come over? Who coming over? They can come over because I don't want to play with you. I'm tired of playing with you all the time.
You tired of being a playmate?
When she has friends, she don't know me. Her friends, listen, when you got a friend over, I'll be like, they come over all the time. They come over anytime they want. You get tired of being the other kids sometimes, it's like, God, jeez. Mm-hmm. So in that aspect, it could work. They got to eat and sleep and stuff like that. That would be the problem.
What?
That's just called a friend coming over. Or the play date. That's what that is.
They got to actually live and breathe.
Breathe, right.
Yeah, see, that's the part. After the plan is the problem.
That's the part you don't want no parts of.
I think it takes a special kind of person.
It sure does. I just think it does.
It does. To really accept someone else's children as your own.
That's not yours.
Yeah, it does. It takes a special
kind of person. It's tough for you to even to accept. Again, parenting is really important. It's how they're going to parent your child as well, because ideologies of parenting are very different. So you have to also, like for me, you have to parent kind of like me. You can't do anything outside of me because I'm not going to accept it. You know what I mean? It's not like we're not doing that. So that would be, if you're yelling and hitting and all that, I'm not really into that. So it's not going to happen. You feel me? Getting in kids' faces, all that nonsense. I'm gonna get in your face. Like, who you talking to? I'm gonna jump you. So, and that's the issue as well.
I'll fight a kid.
Nowadays, you might end up.
Well, if your child gets jumped, these things are going to happen. You understand?
Okay. I would say it does take us. I agree with you with that one.
Mm-hmm.
I don't knock blended families. I think they're wonderful. Mm-hmm. Just personally for me, I'm good.
So you intentionally date when you decided? Well, but you've known your husband a long time. So
I have, but I made it clear whoever. So in my head, I was like, whoever I have kids by, that's it. If we don't work out, I give it somebody else.
How long you been with your husband? Before we go, how long you been there with your husband?
Almost 18 years.
Ever. So it wasn't no before your husband.
Yeah.
It was him forever. Okay.
Oh, if you want to look at it like that, okay.
So I don't want to talk about.
There you do. If you want to look at it like that, but I will say,
when I was 7 before I met him, I dated a lot of people.
I was grown. I was young, but I was grown. But I will say that I had a decision in my mind early. I was like, I need to find somebody like mine did, because I wanted somebody who didn't have kids. And I was like, once I have a kid, whether we work out or not.
Nobody have kids at 7.
He don't owe me nothing. I was like, he don't owe me nothing, but he owe his kids everything. So if I have kids by, that's it. Okay, if I would adopt a kid, that's fine. If I got somebody else adopted, but having another one, I'm good. I just wanted, in my head, I was just like, I prefer do for all or do for none. That's just my,
When I was in preschool or the playground, I was like, I wouldn't buy with no kids.
But yeah. Don't knock me because I'm only in my 30s. I can't help that.
You'll say her H is not working right. I'm assuming that's needed therapy.
But I mean, that's it really. But I guess any relationship, because any relationship you have, you have to really work on it to make sure the kids are not, seeing anything or experiencing anything that's traumatic.
Hey, Mary.
Mary.
Half of these relationships are break. Hey, I shouted you out earlier.
Go
back to like about 45 minutes in. I got you. I think that any relationship, relationships have issues. So, kids can end up in therapy even from, any type of relationship. So we have to, when you go into it thinking about the children, before you think about themselves, think about the children and how this could affect them and how we can deliver the best, relationship to them. Like even if it is polyamorous or whatever, how can you make it so the kid is not traumatize so much from it?
Right.
How can you make it tolerable?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what we have to start doing if we have kids already.
Right.
We have to definitely, because again, like I said, it can, even in any relationship, can really affect the kid negatively. Even a relationship can affect that kid negatively, right? It really can. So you've got to figure it out.
Mm-hmm. Any last words, Kent?
I would just say, with any kind of relationship, it's ups and downs, and blended families can work, but it does take special people, and blended families are great.
Mm-hmm.
Just something to work at and think about, the kids and how they are and how they feel about the situation as well.
Mm-hmm.
That's important.
Yeah, I think so too. Because most adults, they don't consider the kids. It's like, all right, I'm getting married. Look, I'm getting married.
But
I'm
you
getting
can't
married.
do nothing about it.
Right. So, man, you gonna put on this tux and be my ring bearer.
But I mean, before married, most of these people have had 9 different relationships.
Before they get married?
The kids seeing 9 different people. Yeah, you didn't see 9 people coming out your house.
That's a good point.
Like you didn't even protect your kid before the marriage. I mean, the marriage is at least a good thing.
Within your dating journey.
I would have you that up on them than a new boyfriend every 3 weeks, every 3 months.
Not 3 weeks, but okay.
Yeah, he's been acting up all show. So I think before I think if you have kids, you got to find a way to date where they're not seeing everybody you date, right? And you have to introduce them to everybody you date until you really kind of feel like this person may be the one, not the one for the night.
Yeah.
And that's the issue, because if they're seeing too much, like I said, children are smart. And they're starting to see these people coming around and see the patterns, and that's a problem. Yes, 9 different uncles or aunts or whatever you're calling them. The kids understand it, and now you're introducing them to something that now they think is okay, And then you even say, these people are you having around your children either. That's how stuff happens. These people may be weirdos. So we need to vet people better before we introduce them, have them around our children, or even know where we live. Stop letting everybody live at. We even know who these people are.
Do your research. Do your research on these people.
Where you end up like what's her face that married the child on the Megan's Law list.
Yeah, and didn't know it because you gotta you gotta do your research.
Yes. All right, guys.
This is a great topic.
It was a great topic.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Catch us on the replay on Relationship Flow. You can catch us on, I believe it's on YouTube under Butterfly Love, right, Mary? I believe. And I think I even seen a post on Instagram.
Yes, it's on YouTube.
Yes. So for your for your viewing pleasure, we are everywhere. And if you have a topic you want us to cover, give us a shout. Ooh. Good night, everybody.
Night.
Good night.
Whispering voice.
Yes.